So, Jessica, congratulations. You got a first-class degree. I always knew you could manage it. What are your plans now?
Thank you. I couldn't have done it without all your help. Well, I'm not sure. I'm still thinking about the possibilities. I'm not sure if I want to teach or go into research, or even find a position in a company, perhaps.
Well, anyone with a degree in chemistry will always be in high demand. Have you thought about teaching?
Yes, but don't you need a degree in education to do that?
Well, many teachers do that, but of course you have to be sure you want to teach before starting your degree course. In your case, though, your main route into teaching would be to do a postgraduate certificate in education. That's another year of study, and you'll learn everything you need to know about teaching, while also getting teaching practice in your subject at local schools. You could study that here if you want.
That sounds like a good idea. I'll think about it. But I feel I have more studying to do in chemistry before I think about teaching it.
Then you could always take a Master of Science degree. That will allow you to specialize in a particular area of chemistry. But if you want to teach in secondary schools, you won't need to have such a specialization. It's up to you.
Yes, I see. Actually, I've often thought of doing a research degree.
That would be a very good idea. But remember that it will take you at least 3 years to complete that. It would probably be better to do a master's degree first and then transfer onto a PhD course. It also costs a lot, and you may need to fund yourself while you're studying. Have you thought of going straight into work?
Yes, I have, but I'm not sure if that's the best choice for me.
Well, you could try doing a company internship for a few months. A company internship is a chance to work in a company without actually being an employee, but possibly with some pay. It'll give you a chance to develop your career and also learn more about your subject specialization in a commercial environment. After that, you may well get a good position in the company. We have some good commercial contacts for internships here.
That might be the best option, but I wouldn't earn much to begin with, would I?
No, you wouldn't. You could try getting a permanent job now if you want. There's a graduate fair here in the city every year, as well as in other cities around the country. You'll have the chance to meet all the leading companies in the sector and discuss opportunities with them.
It's worth considering. Oh, well, I have a lot to think about. Can I meet you again next week?
Of course. Just send me an email and let me know when would be a good time.
Speaker 1.
So, in conclusion, we can say that, despite the difficulties we had at the beginning, we managed to complete the program over the 3 days without any further problems. In total, 10,000 attended the 3 days, and feedback suggests that the events were exciting and produced true champions, especially the athletics events. Next year, we'll have more money, so we're going to add new events to increase the competition and participation levels.
Speaker 2.
It's clear then that the events didn't go as well as originally planned, so we will have to rethink our arrangements for next year. Clearly, a large tent in the college grounds is not ideal for an event of this type if we're hit by bad weather again, as we were with this year's event. This caused a lot of problems with the preparation of the dishes and the display of the produce from different parts of the world. It also meant that visitors couldn't really get a chance to try everything on display. As a result, much of it went to waste, which is something we have to avoid next time.
Speaker 3.
One of the main issues that we had with this event was that the main attraction, Paul Simmons, had to cancel at the last minute, as he'd been suffering from a serious throat infection for a week and hadn't managed to recover in time. As a result, we had to find another act, and managed to get Nikki Monroe at very short notice. She performed magnificently. The audience loved her, and that saved the festival, I would say. Everyone agreed that she has an amazing vocal range.
Speaker 4.
The most successful aspect of the event was the variety of products that were on offer. It's wonderful to see students being so creative. We saw practical applications that'll make significant developments in education and even business if they go into production, as well as very entertaining ideas, especially the robot football game. I'm pleased to say that our college team won.
Speaker 5.
I'm sure you'll all agree when I say that the quality of the talks and performances over the last 3 days was very high. The talk given by the top novelist, Henry Peters, on effective plotting and characterization was excellent, and the audience will have learnt a great deal to help them with planning and writing their future works. What's more, the quality of verse produced in the workshops was very high, and we hope to run that again next time with greater overall participation.
Speaker 6.
While there were some wonderful and fascinating works on display, I felt that there wasn't enough variety. Unfortunately, this was because of the limited exhibition space we had. This meant that we could only have one room for portraits and another for landscapes. We hope to extend that next year into other forms, such as still life and abstract, but we'll have to see what rooms are available. We also hope to install clay ovens next year, to give our students the chance to create their own pottery and display it for the visitors.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this meeting to review this year's Arts Festival. As you know, this is the fourth and biggest festival that we've run at the university, and it's clear now that it's fast becoming a fixture in the calendar of the city and the county, and attracting attention from the rest of the country, as well as from abroad. First of all, I'd like to review the preparations for the festival, then go on to do an analysis of the festival itself and how well it went. The plan is then for you to work in teams of 3, with 1 tutor and 2 students in each team, and for you to discuss the festival in more detail so you can come up with suggestions for the organizing committee to consider for next year's festival. Well, as I said, we're in our 4th year, and we added some new events. The first festival focused mainly on music and the performing arts, as it was felt that those would be the best types of event for both students and the public to take part in. More forms of art, in particular short films and photography, were added over the next 2 years, and this year we extended our offer to include painting and crafts, with a particular focus on the students here producing their own work, both for exhibition and competition. This was largely successful, but I'll discuss that in detail later. We also invited professional artists in some of the fields to perform, and that will be something for you to review for the next event. What was particularly encouraging this year was that we had contributions to the festival from the highest number of students to date, with representatives from every nationality at the university. As in previous years, we planned to use the spare university accommodation for all the visitors, both students and non-students. But as we expected a greater attendance at this year's festival, we also arranged accommodation at the City College 3 miles from here, and arranged coach transfers between the college and the university campus. Unfortunately, that proved problematic, and we won't repeat those arrangements next year. We also arranged the catering both here and at the City College, and one of the new ideas we tried was to experiment with dishes based on different regional themes over the 5 days. This allowed our international students, well, the keen cooks among them anyway, to create the menus and work with the catering company to produce breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Of course, one of the main aims of this festival, apart from the obvious ones of extending the university's reputation and giving our students the chance to take part in a wonderful event, was to help develop our young people's organizational skills and give them some experience of real work, mostly as volunteers. Of course, we had to pay for professional organizers to make sure the festival ran well, but as our money was limited and we wanted to give as many opportunities to our students as possible, we made sure that they ran all of the events themselves under the direction of the professionals and, of course, alongside the tutors. So, now let me turn to the actual event and how it went. As I said, we had the biggest offer of arts events in the 4 years we've been running the festival. In total, the number of visitors over the whole 5 days was 12,500, which is a 10% increase on the previous year and just over 3 times the number in the first year that we held it. This clearly shows that we're going in the right direction by expanding the variety of events on offer. The short film event at the University Cinema was the best attended, with entries from a wide variety of nationalities here at the university on a number of fascinating topics. I think we can all agree that the quality was excellent, as was the standard of the photography exhibition and the paintings in the art gallery. Our feedback from students and visitors was very positive. However, there are 3 issues that we should address in our discussions. Firstly, Wayne Rogers, our headline music act, had to call off 2 days before the event due to illness, and we didn't have time to find another act. Needless to say, all those who bought tickets for the main concert were disappointed, and we had to return their money. We need to discuss suggestions for avoiding this in the future. Also, while we had some good crafts on display, especially the clothes, pottery, sculptures, and glass objects, the exhibition was poorly attended, so we have to decide if it needs to be changed or perhaps reduced in some way. The last issue involves the art gallery and, in particular, security. Although we had attendants on duty all the time, 3 paintings were stolen, much to the disappointment of the artists who painted them. They were valued at around £3,000 in total, and the artists had expected to be able to sell them in the future. So we need to look into this and think about how we can increase security for next year, while also avoiding any unnecessary inconvenience for our visitors. Regarding the arrangements for accommodation and catering, generally things went well, but there were some issues with the accommodation in the City College. As there were a lot of late bookings, we had to provide more accommodation than we had originally planned to do, with the result that some people ended up in accommodation of a lower standard than they expected. We apologized to them and gave them back part of their payments, but we need to avoid this issue in the future, especially as the festival is growing and we don't want to harm our reputation. Another issue was that at certain times of the day, there were not enough volunteers on hand to help visitors, so we'll need to make sure that we organize the availability of volunteers better next time. On the other hand, the transport that we organized was excellent, and the catering was highly appreciated, both in terms of variety and quality. So I'd like you to think of more ideas to extend the catering opportunities for next year. The last thing I want to focus on now is how much we spent. As I said earlier, we had budgeted for £50,000 to organize the event and expected £50,000 in earnings. But the final balance sheet showed that the event actually raised just over £90,000. So we have plenty of money to go into the budget for next year, which is an excellent result. However, I feel there are still some areas where we could cut our spending and perhaps reduce charges for visitors. Many of the volunteers felt that some of the paid helpers that we brought in to supervise the activities were not really worth the expense. They felt that some of them did very little for what we paid them, and others didn't really organize some of the events that well. So I would welcome suggestions on improving organization while saving money. Also, I feel that another good way of raising funds is to get more business support from local companies who could help the festival grow by sponsoring events and advertising their products and services more around the festival. Now I'd like to turn to other